Thanks, Brian. Well, outrage is growing against Columbia University here in New York City for hiring former Weather Underground radical Kathy Boudin as a member of its staff. Boudin, who went to jail for her involvement of 2 cops and an armored truck guard, will now be able to mold the minds of America's youth. It's terrible news to folks like Joe Connor. At 9 years old, he lost his father in the 1975 bombing of a New York City tavern. The group of terrorists who claimed responsibility for that bombing called themselves FALN, and they had connections to Boudin's group, Weather Underground. Joe Connor joins me this morning. Good to see you, Joe.
Thanks, Gretchen. Thanks for having me.
I'm sure it's still tough to look at those pictures of the family together.
It is. It's hard to see it, but I'm grateful to see my dad's face again, and that's really what a lot of the motivation has been. Never let him be forgotten. And before we start, I just want to mention the names of those 3 men who were killed: Officer O'Grady, Page, and Waverly Brown. They should not be forgotten either.
All right. Well, thank you so much for doing that. When you hear the news that Columbia University is hiring this woman who is responsible for the deaths of 3 other people, what do you make of it?
Well, it makes me feel that that academia has now taken some of the left-wing causes, and Kathy Boudin would not have been hired, say, if she was a serial killer. There's no doubt about it. There's a connection between her left-wing background, her radicalism, and the people at Columbia who wanted that kind of celebrity, that kind of person in their school. And it's very disturbing that she would be put in front of really impressionable kids. Yeah,
you know, it's so interesting because we had a lot of discussion about Bill Ayers,
right?
You know, who is also associated with this group, and he's being seen as a quote respected member of academia as well. Yeah. So what does that say about society? And number 2, do parents even realize that potentially these could be the instructors their kids are being put in front of?
Well, I don't think they realize. I think that's a great point. I don't think they know, and they put someone like Bill Ayers, who now is, I think, at Minnesota State. You have Kathy Boudin, you've had Susan Rosenberg, you've had all these various people who have had jobs in colleges, and now they're respected. It makes no sense. They were murderers. They planted bombs. They tried to overthrow the United States. And when they realized they couldn't do that, they moved from an active terrorist role to the academic world, to politics, and even into the media. So we see this movie coming out this week from Robert Redford about the Weather Underground, and from what I understand, I haven't seen it yet. No one has, but it seems like it's romanticizing their attacks and their murders, and it's a dangerous involvement of these people to mold people's minds and make people whitewash their background. Really, it's a trend. It's undeniable.
We should also mention that your family was also hit with the terrorist attacks of 9/11.
Yes.
That your father's godson was also killed.
Yes. My father's godson, Steve Schlag, was killed on 9/11. My father was killed by the FALN back in the 70s. And I was in the World Trade Center that morning. I saw the planes hit. So we've been affected by both sides. And some of the same things that went on back in the 70s are happening now with the Islamic terrorists, where they are becoming CARE and all these other groups are becoming respected parts of our society. But you're never quite sure where they're going with this.
Well, you know firsthand what it felt like to be the son who lost his dad.
Yep.
But the message, I think, today is for parents to be a little bit more aware of who may be teaching their kids as well.
They need to know.
Joe Connor, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Gretchen.